Hey guys, how's everybody? Welcome to the show, guys. I'm just gonna adjust my headphones here. Gotta make sure I can hear. And I want to welcome you guys. Oh, wait a minute, guys. Sorry. I hate when YouTube suddenly starts like playing in the background. I don't know why, but got that taken care of. Welcome to Addicted to Gear, show 209. I'm Tony. Got the Black Beauty out today. Still not tuned, but hey, it's still early. So today's a beautiful Sunday morning here. I hope it's the same wherever you guys are. Welcome to everyone that's here from around the world. As per usual, we have about a good hour or so of gear talk lined up, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. We're gonna get the show on the road because we have, as per usual, quite a few things to talk about today. First, I want to make sure that everybody here had a good week. If you guys had a good week, let me know. If you had a crappy week, let me know. We can vent. The channel is up for chat for everybody. Nobody has to be shy here. Everything is open for discussion. If you want to talk about gear, this is the perfect place. If you want to talk about other things and vent, you can do that too. Eventually, we come back to the gear chat though. You know, that's the goal of this. So don't be shy if you're lurking. If you're new to the channel and you haven't struck up the courage to chat with us previously, please do. We all like new members, and we'd like to see who's here from all over the world, and we appreciate all of the comments. So I think if you're in the United States, today's a holiday. Well, tomorrow's going to be a holiday, right? Monday's a holiday for you guys. Unfortunately, we don't take advantage of Memorial Day here in Canada. We had a long weekend last weekend, it's the Queen's birthday or something like that. Anyways, we had a day off last week, and although it was a short week, I still felt like it was extremely long. It's weird, but sometimes it happens that way. But if you're going to be spending the time, away from work tomorrow, take full advantage. Hopefully you have something lined up, something fun. If not, just play your guitars, play your amps. It's always a good way to spend a day off, in my opinion. I don't know if there's any questions right off the bat, but if you guys are new here, guys, please, you have to subscribe to be able to chat, okay? So please do that first so we can jump right into the chat. There's a poll question out today. So if you want to take advantage and cast your vote for that, we usually have a poll question every Sunday. And for those of you that are new, haven't participated in the Addicted to Gear live show before, we do this every Sunday. Sunday, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time is usually the time slot that we try to aim for. So if you're not doing anything Sunday mornings, you want to grab your coffee, have your breakfast, and join in on the chat on your phone or iPad or wherever you may be, just put it on your calendar. All right? So if you're addicted like we are, this is the place to be. So let's start by looking to see. I'm just going to go through the messages very quickly, say good morning to everybody, and then see if there's any questions. If you have any questions that are specifically directed to me, please put a little question mark in front of it so I can, if it's a general question to the entire group, then just ask away. But if you want to ask specifically to me, just put a little question mark so I don't skip it. All right? If you want to support the channel, guys, like I always say, the best way, obviously, to subscribe. Most of you here are subscribed, which is fantastic. You can do super chats if you want. You can buy swag if you want. But the most important thing is to participate in the live Sunday shows. The more people here, the more fun it is, in my opinion. All right. So let's get down to it, guys. So, Kushman, good morning. I don't know if you were here first, Kushman. You're usually pretty early in on the group. So good morning to you. Dan, good morning to you as well. Kushman says, hello, people. Gospel of Mark. Mark says, what's up, guys? Finally a day off. Had a gig Friday night. Just have band practice later today. Mark, you seem to be on a rampage with the gigs, dude. That's fantastic. You got everything lined up. That's beautiful. I just don't know how you get the energy, man. I guess a lot of Red Bulls. But keep it up, dude. You must be having a lot of fun. That's fantastic. What else? We have Randy is here as well. We have Randy says, Tony, good day. Greetings, my world brothers. Much love to all, and I hope all is well. Same to you, Randy. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Let's see. So Eddie says, good morning, boys. Eddie says, I threw a pack of EVH picks on the counter at Guitar Center. They were like $10 for 3 picks. He almost shit his pants, he says. You know what? Anything that is endorsed is freaking expensive. You know, what did I buy recently? Well, not recently, but a while back. I think it was those John Petrucci. I can't even speak this morning. The John Petrucci picks are basically the same as the Dunlops that I'm using here. These guys, just a little bit bigger, and they have the, you know, his letters in it, and just a little bit of a shiny portion to it. And yeah, they were like, I think $10 for a pack, and I don't think there were much more than 3 in the pack. So somebody's making a lot of money, man. I guess there's a lot of money in picks. I'm in the wrong business. Got to start a pick company or something. Ken's here this morning. Hey, good morning, Ken. Nice to see you. Cushman says, I twisted one up. I'm all set. So Cushman's always ready. He's ready for action, no matter what. DL's here. Good morning. Good morning, DL. And DMAC had a question, so let me get to that one here. Good morning, everyone. So DMAC says, I have a question about the ABR1 bridges. I played a ES335 yesterday. That was great, nice action. But the bridge and tailpiece were both decked flat to the body. Is this a problem? Well, it's not a problem per se, DMAC. I don't think they need to be decked like that. A lot of people like that because they feel like it gives more, I guess, more resonance, considering it's stuck to the body like that. Was the tailpiece overwrapped? Did the strings go above the tailpiece or under? Because a lot of people will deck the tailpiece if it's overwrapped, not necessarily underwrapped. The only thing is, you know, if you're decking one or the other, like typically you would deck the tailpiece and leave the bridge higher up. The only issue with that is if you deck the tailpiece without necessarily having a bridge that's a little bit high, is that what ends up happening is that you cause a lot of friction over the saddles. The break angle, of the saddles is a little bit too steep, which could cause some issues in terms of returning to pitch if you're doing bends and whatnot, depending on the shape of your saddles. I kind of leave it, I don't know if you can see that here, but I kind of leave mine about like that. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. About like that. They're not decked. There's space between the tailpiece and the bridge. That's how I like mine. Paul says, just when you thought it was safe, I'm back. Did anyone save me a front row seat? Paul, there's always a front row seat for you, buddy. You know that. Welcome, man. Hope everything's good on your end. Vinny's World is here. Says good evening and morning wherever you are. And who's here? I know Shane is here in a different time zone. Shane's from Japan. Anybody else here in a time zone where it's still evening or still night? I think everybody else is kind of still in the relatively normal time zones. I'm just wondering who's getting up early or who's actually staying late to watch this live show. Because if you are, I want to give you kudos, man. Thank you for doing that. And consistently tuning in as well. Presley's here too. Gene's here. Shane says no new gear. Need to buy more picks. Yeah, $10 a pop. You better be careful, man. Make sure you don't lose them. I lost one, a really nice pick I think I showed you guys recently, and I knew I was going to lose it too. The one that was it was made of a horn, animal horn. Really liked that pick too, and I had it in my pocket, and it probably ended up in the dryer someplace or something. And I knew I was going to lose it. I should have put it somewhere safer. It'll pop up eventually. I usually find them when I'm not looking for them. All right. What else here? So Gene is here. Davis Music is here. Gene says he's going to make some coffee, 7:20 a.m. in California. So he's here. It's kind of early. That's pretty early. Thank you for waking up so early. I think Presley's here rather early too. So thank you for doing that. Mark says new gear this week. So what did Mark get? Put down payment on a Soulfire SR1 guitar. Handmade boutique single cut. Should be here in about 4 to 6 months, and he's psyched. So Mark, first of all, congratulations on that. What made you pull the trigger on that one? Why that one specifically? And did you play it somewhere before you bought it, or did you just decide to buy it outright? Because that's stressful, man. If you don't necessarily get an opportunity to play it first. So let me just take a look at that. I want to see that guitar. Soulfire guitars, huh? All right, let's take a look. I'm always curious to take a look at that. Let me just share my screen with you guys. Hopefully you can see that. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen? Hope you can. Let me know if you can see the screen, guys. Because a couple weeks back, I was basically talking to myself. So Mark says he played the SR1 guitar at a show. Can you see my screen, guys? Mark, can you see my screen? I'm going to try to see if I can find it. The SR1. Okay, you can see it. Good. So let's go to the guitars. I just want to make sure I can see. This is the SF1. So it's not this one. HB1. SR1. There we go. What does the SR stand for? Bigger, badder, solid body guitar. Man, $3,200. Yeah, man. Sweet looking guitar though. Did you get the one? So is it exactly like this one? So solid colors, chambered body. I don't know. Did you get the chambered body, Mark? $200 extra for the chambered. Junior type. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And did you buy it with the Bigsby as well? The whole setup. Custom paint. You get sparkle, metallic, candy. Wow, nice options. Let me take a look at some other shots here. I like the headstock, and I like the truss rod cover. That looks sweet, man. So Mark, you're saying that when you place an order, they make a rendering for you. Is that right? You send me the rendering. So that basically they tell you what you're gonna get, and you got chambered too. So is it if you got chambered, do you actually see the F hole, or is it just chambered but it doesn't look like it is? Just lightened up. Sweet looking guitars, man. So you played this one and you fell in love. And $3,200 later, it's on its way. That's a story. That's a match made in heaven. I love stories like that. I love it when somebody just plays a guitar and falls in love, you know? Sweet looking guitar, man. Congratulations, dude. I'm sure it sounds great. It's got a sweet look to it with one pickup like that. I don't know if yours has one pickup as well or not with the Bigsby. You don't see the F hole. Yeah, that's even sweeter. I like that. It's like Billy Gibbons style. His guitars are all weight relieved, by the way, but you don't see that. And they have the nice tummy tuck. It's not really a tummy tuck though, right? It's more like a. It's strange that they did the chamfer like that in the back of the guitar, but I can see the back of the neck also is is nicely carved. They don't have too many pictures of the back of the necks though. Oh man. Looks like a sweet guitar. Congratulations, dude. I'm happy for you, man. You see, there's a guitar out there for everyone, and it doesn't necessarily have a big G or a big F on the headstock. I think this one's going to be a keeper. Does it come with a case at least for that kind of dough? I hope it does. So Mark says the rendering is in my Instagram. Let me see here. Let me take a look here. Bear with me, guys. Let me just get rid of the... All right. So I don't want to stop the chats from coming in. So we're not just talking about one thing here. Keep the chats coming in. I just want to take a look at the renderings that Mark sent me here. Oh yeah, I see it here. Let me see here. Yeah, sweet looking guitar, man. So you went for... So it's not necessarily a P90 that you're getting here. Okay, and it looks like it's not a Bigsby either. The rendering they sent you is not, doesn't show a Bigsby on it, right? Yeah, I see it here. Here, let me see if I can I let me see something. I'm gonna try to airdrop it to my computer here so I can share it with the boys. How's that? Let's see if I can do that. If you don't mind me sharing, that is, Mark. I don't want to share stuff if it's private, you know? Let me know if it's okay to share. If it is, I'll share it with the guys, okay? Very sweet, man. Congratulations, dude. Hardtail with pickguard and humbucker. Yeah, they got that. The P90s look sweet too, though, I gotta say. Here, okay, so I can share. Can I share, Mark? Can I share the picture with the boys? Let me know if I can, and I'll pop it up on the screen here. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for telling the guys to give a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Yeah, if you can do that, that would be great. Here it is. Okay, so Mark says I can share. So there it is. There's the rendering of Mark's guitar. First of all, I like the pickguard. Very tastefully done. So here it looks like you're getting. You said it's a hardtail, but it doesn't. I mean, it's not a string through body thing. It's a bridge and tail piece, right? Nice, dude. Very nice. Can't wait for you to get it. I know how exciting it is when you have something on order and you want it to arrive. It's like every day you're checking the status on your shipping. You're checking your mailbox. Where are these guitars made? I didn't look in the website. I'm assuming they're being made somewhere in the States. Very sweet, dude. Congratulations, man. Let us know when it arrives so we can actually, line something up to take a look at it at first hand. So, Mark, how many are in the collection now? How many are you up to or down to? I lost track. I know there's stuff coming in and going out on a regular basis at your place there. So, I don't know. Give us a number. Shane says he still prefers humbuckers over P90s. Yeah, a lot of people still do like the humbuckers over the P90s. I like to have both. I like to have a little bit of variation in my tone when I can. So it's handmade in New Jersey, Mark says. And they make their own pickups too. Very sweet, man. Good, good. Hey, support the small companies out there too, because they're doing a heck of a good job. They're building these guitars one by one with love. So, all right. So Mark's up to 10. Dirty Jersey. So I think we need to have another tally because I lost track of how many guitars everybody has since everybody's buying and selling. I know Shane bought a few guitars recently and so on and so forth. So give me a number, guys. Take a moment. Just type in a number. I want to know where you're at in terms of your guitar collection. Is it getting bigger or is it getting smaller? And Shane had a question as well. Shane says, have you have you any boutique guitars, excluding ones you made yourself? What do you think of them? Well, first of all, thank you for saying that my guitars are boutique. I don't think I would consider them to be boutique. Maybe custom jobs, but not necessarily boutique. I don't have anything. I mean, what do you consider boutique, Shane? The only guitar I guess I would consider like kind of boutique, if you can even call it that, is my Sir, just because of the price, how much they cost. But I don't know if that actually qualifies for boutique. For me, like something like Mark just showed us. For me, that's kind of boutique because that's custom ordered, right? A la carte, as we like to say. I don't have anything like that. No, I never bought a boutique guitar per se. So, you know, that's still on my radar. You know, I just haven't found the right one yet. Eddie says he's got to pay $900 for a new windshield. And he says, like, screw that. That's a nice guitar. So Eddie calculates things like I calculate things. Whenever I got to buy something, I usually calculate that way, you know. I'm spending a couple $100 on something that's not gear. I'm like, man, that could have been a nice pedal. You know, that could have been a nice amp. That could have been a nice guitar. But Eddie, don't think of it that way, man. You need a windshield. It's a pain to pick out bugs from your teeth, man. Let me tell you. I've been there. Get the windshield. Hey, Dwight. Nice to see you, dude. Davis is here. He says, Tony, I have a 60s faded Les Paul Standard. I like the way it's starting to wear. And what is the best way to buff it into a shine? Well, if it's a 60s and you want to, it's a faded one, right? So it's just getting dull. Is that it? Well, you want to be careful when you buff anything, right? You want to take your time. On a delicate guitar, I wouldn't necessarily use like a buffer, an electric buffer. The best way is just to get yourself a nice buffing cloth, a good quality buffing cloth, and you can use the same stuff that they use on cars, basically. Maguire makes some really nice buffing compounds, and they have different grades. And what you do is just plain old elbow grease, dude. Just put it on there and just buff away till it gets to the shine that you want it to be. That way you don't risk burning through the finish, and you can stop when you think it's right. It's a better way of doing it, in my opinion. I've painted guitars, you know, from scratch, and I've done it exactly like that. I've wet sanded to a certain grit and then buffed it. But you don't have to wet sand, you just buff it. So the Maguire's paste usually is really good. That's what I tend to use. Hope that helps. BC Rich 581 is here. Says, hello everybody, hope the long weekend's going well. So far so good. I'm having a good time. Let's see here. So Time Surfing Aliens has a good suggestion. He says $10 will get you a pick press from Temu. You know what those are, right? It's like a hole punch, but in the shape of a pick. That you can basically punch out picks from anything, any kind of material. Shane said, I paid $14 for a pick made from New Zealand wood. Wow, man. I told you I'm in the wrong business, dude. Jeff ROQ says, hey, Tony, I got a Tonex pedal yesterday. Good deal on Amazon. How do you get over the option paralysis with the FM9? Good question. Very slowly, Jeff. Very slowly. One issue at a time. To be honest, you know, you can go really deep with things like the Tonex. The limitation specifically on the Tonex, Jeff, for me, is a software. I don't know if you feel the same way, if you've already experienced that or not, but I feel like the way that the software was designed, it was a little clunky. I've used a lot of different multi-effects units, And the Tone X, I know, is not exactly a multi-effects unit, but it works kind of the same way. And it's really a pain with the software, the way it works. It's not as user-friendly as I would have hoped. And I would have hoped that they would have put out a firmware update to make it better. But getting back to the option paralysis, you just have to start small, man. You know, like start with the factory presets, play around with those till you get them right without going too deep into the editor. And then start looking at the editor. There's a lot of stuff, man. The FM9, I'm still scratching the surface on this thing. There's so much power under the hood, it's not even funny. But if I would want to get really deep down into this thing, I'd have to spend like 8 hours a day on it, which I don't necessarily want to do. So BC Rich says, hello, Dwight and Presley. Finally posted the bass 4 Squire video. Next up, a piece on some vintage art bass gear. I also upgraded the remote and mic for it. Okay, cool. Well, if anybody's interested in checking out those videos, check out BC Rich 581. We always welcome other videos. And not all of us play just guitar. Some of us also play bass from time to time. Cool Tune says, Tony, I left my Marshall SV20 with the tech to modify the power supply to 110 volts. Attitude, Jazz, the 230 now. So I inquired about attenuator. He suggested, but just the JHS little black box. Thought. Like I said, man, for me, I like the Behringer. They have an attenuator, not very expensive. I could even try and hold on. Let me just see if I can bring it up quick. Uh-oh, 1 sec. Yeah. Let's see. This guy. The price may have gone up. Interesting. Here, let me show you. This is, you can get this on Amazon, by the way, and you could probably find better prices. I'm not really sure. Let me see here. If you can see this, this is the one I have. Sorry, I said Behringer. I'm thinking Behringer. I don't know why. It's Bugera. My mistake. Sorry, guys. It's still early. Still early for me. So Bugera, the PS1 Power Soak. This is the one I have. Brand new, it's $222, but you can get these used for about 100, 150, around there. They work really well. I had good experiences with this. You can see the different options here. Do they show the back? They can show you the back here. So you can see the back, the way it's made. So you have an emulated mic, you have a line, unbalanced, you have a speaker, then you have outputs for 4, 8, and 16 ohm. That's all you need. And it's not too big, works really well, not too expensive. That's what I would go for. Of course, you can go with more expensive gear too. You can go with the Webers. I used to have a Weber too. A lot more expensive, but this one works just as good. That's my suggestion. So, sorry, I don't know why I said Behringer. I don't usually buy Behringer stuff. I don't know why that was in my mind. But it's funny that you said that you left your Marshall SV20 with the tech, because so did I. Look, it's not there. Usually that's where it's sitting. So I brought my Marshall to get taken a look at finally. I did mention to you guys that I was having some kind of an issue where the low and high input wouldn't have the same sweep on the knobs. Suddenly, I don't know why that's happening. So I suspected tubes, but I checked that and it wasn't the tubes. So I brought it to my good, my trusted technician, probably the best guy to bring your amps to in Montreal. His name is Rick Onslow. Rick has been in the business for, I don't know, 30 years, fixing and modifying, and his specialty is Marshall amps. So I'm hoping once I get it back, it'll be as good as new, maybe even better. And I'll be enjoying it again, because now it's starting to sound too spiky for whatever reason. I don't know why. So, you know, we'll see. We'll compare notes to Cool Tunes when you get yours back and when I get mine back. Danielle. Hey, Danielle, what's happening, dude? Danielle's here too. I've been told the George Benson signature string sets are very good. I just have trouble getting past the price. What is the price on that, Danielle? Never tried the George Benson strings. Never tried them. But again, if the strings are like, you know, have George Benson's name on it, you're going to be paying premium for it. So Cool Tune says the little black box goes into the effects loop and not the front of the amp. He suggests I get one of those to lower the volume on the Marshall. I'm familiar with the little black box. It's not really an attenuator. It's just like a volume pot. And you can actually build one. I actually built one myself. Not very hard to do. There's nothing to it really. But it doesn't work the same way, and I don't usually use the one I built. So I would say if you can, get the Bugera power attenuator. I think you're going to be more happy with it. It's more flexible, by the way. Eddie says, I gave away a Squire CV Strat to a young dude this week. See, I'm not a total jerk. Well, Eddie, that's some good karma, man. Good karma coming your way. How come, first of all, how come you gave it away? Why, you weren't playing it? It was just gathering dust, I suppose? It's always good to do something nice, I think. All right, let me scroll all the way back down because I'm way behind on you guys. All right, Eddie says, Tony, remodelers, do pickups matter? Hot pickups versus low output. So when you're using a multi-effect or a modeler, I find that, well, pickups always do matter, obviously, but they matter less. Because multi-effects usually, because they process the sound so much, they kind of homogenize the pickup sound overall. So things all kind of not necessarily sound exactly the same, but they kind of get like squished down, so you don't really hear the dynamics of the pickups as much, in my opinion. So if you're worried about that, don't worry about it too much, because it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I find like hotter pickups usually tend to hit the processor really hard. So sometimes you end up starting to have like the bumblebee effect. The sound it kind of sounds like bumblebees. It's just too much, you know. I would just go with standard output if you're using a multi-effects. You know, middle ground is usually the best. Alex2112 says, do you think using an attenuator with your Marshall has anything to do with it having problems? No, I don't think so. I doubt it. I mean, anything's possible, Alex, but I don't think that's it. Because actually, I wasn't using the attenuator when I started having the problem at all. So, I doubt it. It's not really, I mean, I don't think the attenuator is actually harder on an amp. It's basically, I mean, the role of an attenuator is basically to like pump the sound out of a cabinet, to put a load on it, right? So that it basically, the sound before it comes out of your cabinet is attenuated. So it doesn't really have anything to do with the amp per se. It's processing the signal afterwards, not before. I don't think that's it. Paul says, Tony, always go to Sweetwater. 99% they have what you are pricing. Yeah, but it's an American money. The price I'm giving you, by the way, the price I was giving you is I think it's Canadian dollars. So if you're looking at American dollars, it's actually cheaper. By the way. What else? What else, guys? Shane had a question for everyone. How many 24 fret guitars do you have? I got 4, he says. I don't have that many 24 fret guitars, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of the 24 fret guitars. I feel like the 24 frets makes the guitar strings feel too slinky. I know like Ibanez makes them, a lot of other brands have them, but I usually go up to 22. Usually. So Paul says he has 10 guitars I use daily and 2 others for sale. The only one I want is a Charvel Pro Mod Sam Demas with Floyd and HSS pickups. I like that guitar, Paul. I used to have a Charvel as well. Sam Demas, but it had the 2 humbuckers. It wasn't the HSS. It's just the Floyd. I couldn't get along with the Floyd after a while, but the guitar itself was really sweet. And from time to time, I still look at the Charvels whenever I'm in the guitar shop. But these days I'm looking more towards a Charvel without any Floyd on it. I think they're solid guitars, and the prices are pretty decent still. It doesn't seem like the Charvel pricing went way up still. Danielle wants to know, any experience with bolt-on neck changes? Intrigued? The Kloss carbon fiber necks offered for Telecaster style guitars don't have any Telecaster bodies here. So I'm a little confused by your question, Danielle. Hold on a second. With a bolt-on neck changes. So you're asking how to change a bolt-on neck? What do you want to know specifically? Like it's pretty straight. If you're asking how to change a bolt-on neck, it's pretty straightforward. All you got to do is take off the bolts and put on the other one. Unless I'm missing part of your question, not understanding. Just if you can clarify your question, I'll try and be more specific. So Jeff says, I have too many guitars, even though I've traded a few lately. I got 31 electrics, 1 bass, 1 acoustic. Yeah, that sounds like a good number. John says 50 something. Mostly cheaper ones, got to get rid of some. Too many doubles, 1 to mod, 1 to keep. I'm kind of in the same ballpark as you, John, I think. So Skimrush says, my most recent is a Slick SL57. The jury is still out. He's not in love yet. So I looked at those a while back for myself, and I was wondering if they were any good. So you're not convinced? You're not bonding with it? A little too different? A little outside your comfort zone? I get it, man. I get it. Not all guitars is a lightning bolt shot through the heart, Mark says between 10 and 12. Good number there. And Mississippi Blue says he's down to 26. I like when you say that. Down to 26. Martin says 5 and I don't want more. If I buy one, I sell one. If one day I buy a boutique or collectible one, maybe I'll consider not selling a player. That's a good attitude, Martin. I wish I could do that, man. I wish I could do that. I'm just, I have good intentions when it comes to, and in my mind, just by the way, in my mind, Martin, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm trying to convince myself of. I'm like, I'm buying this guitar. I'm only temporarily going to hang on to whatever other guitar it's going to replace till I'm sure, and then I'm going to get rid of the other guitar. But more often than not, what ends up happening is, I play the other guitar and I'm like, damn, this is a good guitar. Why do I want to get rid of it again? I'm like, maybe I should sleep on it a few more nights, and a few more nights become a few more months, and then slowly the guitar collection gets bigger and bigger. Vinny's World says lost count, but must be 3 to 40 plus. I really should catalog them at some point. I've tried doing that, Vinny. They come and go too often to catalog, in my opinion. What I do now is I just write down the name on the case. So if I'm looking for them, I don't have to open 20 cases to find the guitar I'm looking for. I can read what's written on the tape. I do it that way because sometimes I'll switch cases. I'll take a guitar out of one case and then put another guitar in that case. I don't have an equal amount of cases to guitars, because cases are expensive too, right? Who's with me on that? They're getting more expensive. I like the molded cases, the SKB style cases or the Gator cases, if I can get those. But they're pretty expensive, man. Now I'm seeing those, some of them reached almost $200, $150, $200. Used to be you can get a used case under $100. Not anymore. Those days are gone. So now I have more guitars than cases. That's why I have all these racks behind me, because I don't have as many cases, and I'm running out of places to store them. So I have to swap cases from time to time, and things get mixed up, and then I'm looking for which case was it again that I put in that guitar, and that's why I started labeling them. But that only works if you keep the right guitar in the right case. So Alex2112 says, I have 30 guitars, and they're all my babies, and I can't get rid of any of them because he loves them. He loves staring at them. Yeah, me too. When I come in here, it's my happy place. Everybody needs a happy place. This is my happy place. Eddie says, my Wormuth, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Wormuth build is coming this week. It's a Charvel Dinky hardtail. Nice. I came so close, Eddie, to ordering a custom jobber from Wormuth. I picked the body style, the paint finish, the wood type, the neck, yada yada, everything. And then when I got the price at the end, I'm like, oh man, that's pretty expensive. Plus it's an American money. Plus I have to pay shipping. Plus I'm probably gonna have to pay duties. So I said, nah, I better sleep on it. So I didn't order it, unfortunately. But it would have been a sweet guitar. I know that Wormuth comes out with, makes really, really good stuff. So I think you're going to be happy. When you get it, man, send us some pictures or something. Let us know. Alex2112 says you should consider trading your Marshall for the new Friedman Plex. Alex, I thought about that. I'm way ahead of you on that thought, man. I thought about that. But you know what? When I started watching the videos on the Plex, maybe there's a few more this week, but I was itching to get that amp. And I contacted Dave about it. And I'm like, Dave, I want to buy one. And he's like, yeah, no problem. You're just going to have to wait a bit because stock is flying out. It's just flying out the window. It's flying out the door, not out the window. Out the door. So he's like, you're going to have to wait a while. I'm like, okay, I'll wait. I waited 3 months after I saw it announced at NAMM. I could wait a few more, weeks. Whatever it is, I'll reach out to him again. In the meantime, I thought about it because I was having issues with the Marshall. I'm like, maybe I'll just get the Marshall fixed, flip the Marshall, put that money towards getting the Plex. But after watching some videos, at least the initial ones, I mentioned this last week, by the way. I don't know if any of you here are into maybe purchasing that amplifier. I love the Friedman stuff, by the way. But what ended up happening is I started watching the videos, and maybe it's the way they were recorded, but I didn't dig the sound that I was hearing, except for one. Like I saw, who did I see? Rabir had a video. Pete Thorne had a video. Who else? I think I watched 3 or 4. Because, they flood the market, right? They flood YouTube with the new products so people can do videos on it. And I watched a lot of them. I really did. And again, I was a little bit I was disappointed. I'm like, I thought it would sound better. But what I realized is that the ones that I heard, the recordings were most likely done through a something like, not an attenuator, but a capture, right? So they're not playing directly through an amp. They're going through something else, right? That you can actually record at low volumes. That is hard to capture correctly. And I think what ended up happening is that the videos that I heard were all recorded that way. Because that's a really loud amp. And you can tell when a video is recorded and is not being mic'd. They're just going through something else. like an aux or some other thing. So I watched Leon Tan's video. I watched Rabia Massad's video. I watched Pete Thorne's video. The guys they usually have pretty good sound. But I was disappointed. The only video that I really liked and sounded great and is the one by Doug Rappaport. If you have an opportunity, watch that one. First of all, Doug Rappaport's a monster. He's an awesome player. I love Doug. You know, Doug should be way more famous than he already is. But he did an awesome job, and I'm pretty sure he was miking the amplifier. If he wasn't, correct me, but if he wasn't miking the amplifier, he got the best recording out of it. So I'm going to keep on watching a few more videos like this. I'm going to try and see if I can make up my mind. And I might just still pull the trigger on it. I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, I think after listening to a lot of those videos, listening to my studio vintage, it gets pretty close. And you know, you can get into that ballpark pretty easily just by putting a pedal in front of it and boosting it a little bit more, you know, and maybe I don't have to spend that kind of money after all. So, you know, don't just buy stuff to buy stuff. Make an educated decision. That's my opinion on that. Take it for what it's worth. Paul says, Tony, all of my 10 guitars are totally different make styles and 3 different scale lengths. I never worry about dealing with a whole new feel, etc. All demands new skills that transfer to my others. Paul, I'm kind of like you in a sense. My guitars are all different, but not maybe as different as total different scale lengths and stuff like that. I do have, I would say, duplicates, you know, a couple of Strats, a couple of Telecasters, a couple of Les Pauls. But usually there's something different about them. It could be the pickups. It could be the neck girth. It could be, you know, other little things like that that'll make it different enough for me to enjoy having an additional version of the same guitar without necessarily having a duplicate, like a carbon copy. Dan in New Jersey says the over-processed sound on YouTube, in my opinion, are becoming the norm and useless to me because I play the actual amp and speaker. That's true. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like the recording I made of the SV20, although it wasn't the most polished thing, was actually recorded with a microphone in front of the cabinet at high volume. It wasn't recorded through like a, you know, an aux. I don't own anything like that. And I think that's the better way. I mean, you get closer to what the actual amp and guitar sound like, except you have to be more careful when you record it, because you can easily like get the signal too hot, distort, all that kind of thing. All right, who here didn't take the opportunity to answer the poll question? Gene had a question. Who are some of the better makers of aftermarket guitar parts? Well, Gene, it depends what kind of parts you're talking about. Are you talking hardware? Are you talking like bodies and necks? Pickups? What do you... Be a little bit more specific. I'll give you some ideas. Cool Tunes, what was wrong with my Marshall? Yeah, the Marshall... The Marshall has 4 inputs in the front, 1 and 2, high, low. Basically, the high input was working like properly. The sweep on the knob was good. On the low, the sweep on the knob wasn't good anymore. It was like I had to like dial it up all the way practically to get the same output. So something's not right. So it's being looked at. I should get it back in about a week or so. By the way, guys, for those of you who have been asking and wondering, the Princeton is done. The Princeton reverb is finished, working, and it's actually right there. Right there. So a lot of you have been asking me, is it done? How does it sound? I'm going to be recording some stuff this week for you guys, all right? I'm totally stoked, by the way. And I don't want to blow the surprise, but the amp sounds wonderful. It sounds fantastic. The reverb sounds great on it. The amp itself is very flexible. Even though it doesn't have an FX loop or anything like that, you can put pedals in front of it. It takes pedals extremely well. So well, and as a matter of fact, I was actually trying to figure out which pedal I like the most in front of it yesterday. That's why I have all these pedals here. I don't know if you guys noticed. I have a table full of pedals. I was actually just playing. I had an opportunity because the house was empty, so I cranked the Princeton. I want to break it in because I haven't actually played it all that much, and it needs some break-in time. The speaker specifically needs some break-in time because the speaker is going to sound a little bit too, not harsh, but too crispy, I guess you can say, till it breaks in. You got to give it some time. So I was putting it through its paces, and it's so cool when you have a brand new amp that you just built and you turn it on and it still smells like everything's baking inside. You smell the tubes, you smell everything inside, like as if everything's heating up. This is a point-to-point amp, by the way, in case some of you don't know what I'm talking about. This was the 65p Pro Reverb or Princeton Reverb, not Pro Reverb, but Princeton Reverb kit, 15 watts that I got from StuMac. This was the book, the instructions on how to build it. So I went through it step by step and put all my notes. All of the build sequences are on my channel, by the way, if ever you want to buy one and make one for yourself. I'm so happy I did it. It wasn't easy. It's a challenge. I haven't built a guitar from scratch before, especially a point-to-point one. But I'm happy I did it. It was fun, first of all. I really enjoyed myself. I like putting things together. So I did that, and I like it because now I understand the amp. If anything should break in it, I can just go back to this, troubleshoot it and try and figure out what the issue is. But one thing I gotta say, if ever you're considering building one of these things, they're a lot of fun. Take your time, check things 2 or 3 times, and most importantly, take your time. If you rush it, you're gonna make a mistake. And if if you don't have the proper tools, like I'm not an electronics wizard or tech or anything like that. I don't have scopes and all these things that you need to troubleshoot if something should go wrong. So if you take your time, follow the instructions, double check everything, you should be okay. One thing I gotta say though, that they don't mention in this book, and I don't know why that is, they don't talk about biasing the tubes. If you guys know what that is, when power's going through the circuit, it's got to hit the tubes at a certain voltage. And sometimes it could either be too hot or too cold. What ends up happening, obviously, is you don't want to have it too cold because then the tubes are being starved for power. You don't want to have it too hot because then your tubes will probably die quicker than they should. So they don't tell you anything about that. So if anybody's building this and they're just following the instructions and calling it a day, your bias is probably off on your tubes. So you will have to check that. And if you don't know how to do that, it's probably best to bring it to somebody that has the proper tools to be able to measure that for you. But that being said, it sounds fantastic. The tremolo sounds great. The reverb sounds great. I'm loving it, and it's not noisy at all. I was worried mostly about the noise because since everything's point-to-point wired, if you're sloppy, you don't have your wires done correctly in there, things tend to get jumbled. It could introduce noise issues. I took my time. I don't know if you remember the photos. I basically, you know, routed all of the wires very carefully. So I was pretty meticulous, and I'm happy I took that time. So anyways, long story short, there's videos going to be coming up on that guitar. And by the way, also, if you guys saw my last video, I mentioned that I was building this. This is the Stuart McDonald clone, the Ghost Drive. I showed the video, and it's done. I built it already, and you know what? This sounds fantastic in front of the Princeton Reverb. It gives it like another channel. It's beautiful. The Princeton Reverb is a great amp for playing at home because it's only 15 watts. It's great for recording, by the way, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have an easy time recording it. But you know, if you want to give it a little bit more punch, a little bit more drive, this is the one, man. The Ghost Drive. It's great. I actually have other. I got this one. This is also a clone. You can see the similarities, pretty similar. So this is one I bought. This is one I built. This one sounds better than this one, in my opinion. Pretty close, but I give this one the winner. And to be honest, I'm going to be really honest, I actually even tried this, because this is also a clone, Wampler. So I put these ones head to head, all of these three. Guess which one I like the most? I'm not going to tell you. That'll be another video. But I was actually surprised. Let's just leave it at that, okay? So I went through the gamut with different drives. I tried this one, Pantheon from Wampler, in front of it. I tried this one, which is the NuX Queen of Tone, kind of a clone of the King of Tone. This one. My old-time favorite, the Pinnacle from Wampler. I tried that one. I tried this one, which is also another King of Tone clone, which is made by 68 Pedals. Tried that one. For giggles, I tried this one. Didn't like it. Garbage. You get what you pay for sometimes. And then I also tried this one, my old-time favorite. That sounded pretty good. So yeah, those are like just a few of the pedals that I was trying in front of it, just to see how I can drive the amplifier and still have that dynamics. And I think I found the winner, at least for the ones I have on the table here. Clone. Said it 3 times fast. Shane, yes, I do have too many clones. But once again, when you find the one you like, the other ones will slowly disappear. So Skimrush says, how many speakers do I have? Excuse me, you mean like just standalone speakers? Or do you mean cabinets or amplifiers? If you're talking just speakers, cabinets, I have 4. I have a 4x12, a 2x12, and 2 1x12s. And by the way, you know, if you feel like the 10-inch speaker on the Princeton is not cutting it, you can definitely get yourself a 1x12, one of these, and just patch the signal through the 1x12 instead of the 1x10. No Archer, Dan. Nope. I wanted to get one, but I got the Wampler instead. Oh, Skimrush says I meant amps. Okay, so how many speakers, how many amplifiers do I have? Well, I have the Friedman, the Dirty Shirley, that's 1. I have the Brunetti Pleximan, that's 2. I have the Marshall SV20, that's 3. I have the Fender Supersonic, that's 4. And now I have the Princeton Reverb, that's 5. 5 amps. All right. So, what else do we need to talk about, guys? Oh, I had some things I wanted to mention to you that maybe you didn't see. Did you guys see the new release that Gibson made? It seems like every week I have a new announcement for Gibson stuff. Gibson's releasing stuff like on a regular basis. Anyways, they released a new dark purple burst finish for the three classic guitars that they have: the SG, the 335, and one of the Les Pauls. And I like them. I like them. I don't know if I'm over the whole purple guitar thing. I know there was a fad where, you know, people wanted that purple finish. I think that was started by Danish Pete. And I had to get one, so I made myself one too. But I like the purple finishes on the Gibsons. I don't know if it's something I'd get tired of though. It looks pretty sweet on the 335, I gotta say. I'm not a huge fan of it on the SG. So maybe the 335 is the one I'd probably get in that purple. Looks like, you know, grape, basically, a grape color. So you can get the SG Modern, which is really nice because it's purple finish. You can see the flame. It's $2,499 for the SG. It's $3,499 for the SE335. And $199 for the Les Paul Modern Studio with those finishes. Purple's a type of color you either like it or you don't. Time Surfing Alien says purple is his color. Time Surfing Alien also says he likes the delay I got from Dolamo. There's a lot of great pedals floating around out there, guys. And you know, somebody was asking if I bought any boutique guitars. If I buy boutique gear, it's usually more likely to be like a pedal or perhaps an amp. Like for me, I would think, like, I kind of put Friedman into that boutique category for amplifiers, because at least the one I bought is hand wired. I know some of them aren't, the smaller ones. The one I bought is. So I would say it's the type of thing that it's being built in small quantities. It kind of, to me, it validates being called a boutique amplifier. Same goes for my Brunetti. It's not the type of thing you see everywhere. It's not being mass produced. It's being produced in small quantities, one by one. To me, that's boutique. So the Brunetti Pleximan to me is a boutique amp. The Friedman Dirty Shirley is a boutique amp. The Plex, I would consider it to be a boutique amp too. Except I'm not sure if the Plex is hand wired. I think it's probably using circuit boards. So if it's using a circuit board, a little bit less boutique-y in my opinion, but still, you know, low quantities, I think it qualifies. Jeff says you need to tell Fender how to build the Princeton properly. Well, they are building Princeton's pretty well, the hand-wired versions, but they're also charging $3,000 plus for those, I think. So you can still get them built the way they should be, you know, but you're paying a lot of money. Don P, what's happening, dude? Welcome. Time Surfing Alien says, out of my price range. Yeah, I know what you're saying, dude. And Skimrush says, Shane, I keep thinking my next guitar must be purple. Deep purple would be perfect. Yeah, Gene. So Gene says he almost bought the Katana amp, and now the Gen 3s are out. Yes, I did see that. I wanted to actually talk about that a little bit. So who's enticed by those new Katana amps? It's cool because you know, they're selling a ton shit of these things, man. I don't know how many they got sold already, but I'm sure it's crazy the amount of Katana amps that are being sold. You know, I recommend them to people that are starting off specifically. Like if you're, you know, if you're a young player, your son or your daughter want to start learning how to play, and even if you're not young or anything, you want to just have a good all-around amp and not fuss with tubes. Katana's a good choice. You know, I'd be tempted to get one if I didn't already have a few amps here already. But now they released the Gen 3. And I'm going to be curious to see how they perform. I don't know all the details on that. What they actually changed. Does anybody know? I know that they have the Gen 3 amps have the 5 onboard effects, the different categories of onboard effects, with essential selections from historic Boss libraries. So you have the booster, you have the mod, you have the delay, reverb, basically grab and go parameters. So you can have 3 variations to access about, I think, 15 unique effects, I believe, on that. They have updated, I think, the software as well. So the Boss Tone Studio software for Mac and PC. And I think they allowed the customization of onboard effects from 60 different types. So you can actually tweak them even better than you could before through the software. So I'm curious. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It's a headache-free thing, you know. If you carry, they're not expensive, you know. They're not tubes, so you don't have to be worried about knocking them around too much. They work well. They have a decent sound, and for people that don't want to carry a lot of gear, I mean, you have most of the effects are built in. I was considering just getting a head version, so I can bring it to my rehearsals and travel a little lighter with the pedals because the effects are built in. So I might still do that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe now that the version 3s are out, maybe the version 2s will drop, you know, in price, which means I can get a 50 watt for even cheaper. But you don't see just head versions of those amps that often. Eddie Jr. says, I'd only pay $500 for a ticket to see Rush if Neil came back. Neil's not going to come back, unfortunately. But, you know, there is rumors that Getty and Alex are talking about a reunion. So never say never. So Martin says, Boss added Bluetooth capabilities to the Gen 3 Katana, which is nice. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I don't it's not a make or break feature for me, the Bluetooth, but I'm sure it's going to be cool. It's going to be better. As I said in previous shows, the thing about Bluetooth and, you know, having Bluetooth connectivity is great short term, but eventually what ends up happening is it's not compatible anymore. And if it's heavily integrated, you know, if the entire functionality of the amp is reliant on Bluetooth, for me, it's a deal breaker, because then I know that eventually you're gonna end up with something that is outdated and you're not gonna be able to use. So if only a small portion of the features need Bluetooth, that's fine. But if it's like, you know, heavily integrated into the functionality, I kind of stay away from those devices. Alex2112 says, I have a Gen 1 Katana 50 watt combo. And I love it to this day. Sounds great. Anybody looking for Gen 3 should consider it. They're great amps. Love Boss. I think they're fantastic. I think Boss knocked it out of the park with these amplifiers. And they're doing extremely well. And I think they're going to be continuing them for a while. Mark wants a cheaper one. He says, cheaper Katana with just the amp types, not the effects. Don't use the effects. I think the effects are kind of like fill-in effects, Mark. You know, I kind of agree with you. If you have good pedals, you probably don't want the onboard effects, you know. But if you want to travel light and you just want to have a few sounds at your disposal, it's good to have them in there, even as a backup, you know, should anything happen. Gene says, musician's friend has a Katana in white Tolex. Looks cool. Well, I'm not a big fan of white for Tolex. They tend to get dirty quick. I like, you know, give me a snakeskin, camo, something like that, you know. Those are cool. Bluetooth is nice, but still glitchy. Yeah, I wonder how long it's going to take AI to trickle into music gear. You know, everything's being controlled by AI today. And in the next 5 years, everything's going to change. So I wonder, like, if they're going to have auto-tune built into your amplifier, so when you hit the wrong note, it automatically fixes it for you on the fly. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes up with something like that eventually. I'm sure we'll be seeing some crazy, crazy stuff. Shane says, my Boss V2 died on me, replaced it with a Vox Valvetronics, and haven't looked back. Yeah, I remember those Vox Valvetronic multi-effect units with the little tube light. I don't know if it was actually a real tube or just a mock tube in there, but I remember those. Jeff says Dave was talking about this on Tone Talk. He said he's unlikely to build another hand-wired amp. You know what? I understand why. It just takes too long, man. After building an amp, after building the Princeton hand-wired, it boggles my mind to know how long it takes to actually build these amps. If you're trying to compete in the US market and you want to build an amp, now I know why the Friedman amps cost so much. Because they're like, it takes so long to build these things. So like at the end of the day, yeah, he's charging $3,000, but you know, he's probably pocketing only maybe half of that after it's said and done. Has anyone seen the AI Beetle video on YouTube? Kind of fun. I don't think I have, no. I'll have a look. David says, I had the 100-watt head katana and sold it. Constantly wishing I still had it for a quick and a convenient rig. I know. I think that's something I'm going to probably end up doing. I'm not sure. We'll see. If something pops up at a good price, I might just grab it. We'll see. Are any Friedman amps made overseas? Not to my knowledge, Eddie, no. I think they're all being made in the United States. I don't think that's the intention, unless I don't think it would be as. I mean, never say never. Anything could happen, but I probably wouldn't be as enticed if they were being made overseas. Did you guys hear the news about Eric Clapton's guitar being sold? The Martin. It's been making the rounds on certain channels. What's happening is that Eric has a Martin guitar that he really loves. It's a prototype that he, I guess, had made for him, and he says it's one of the best sounding Martins he's ever had or owned. It's a 1995 Martin 000 28 EC, standing for Eric Clapton. The signature model, and it's been put up for auction, and there's only 4 prototypes ever produced and 1 prototype sent to Clapton to try out. And so now it's being sold in auction, and they're estimating that the guitar is expected to fetch $50,000. So if ever you're into buying a really good Martin, only 50 G's. Who buys these things? That's what I want to know, man. Who's got like $50,000 scratch in their pocket, ready to go, saying, you know what I'm going to buy? I don't know what I'm going to buy with this 50 G's. I think I'm going to buy a Martin. I wish I was in that category, but I'm not, unfortunately. Hey guys, how are the YouTube ads today? Are they just as annoying as they ever were? I'm wondering if they're still popping up too frequently on your side. I wish there was something I can do about that, but unfortunately I can't. Also, by the way, guys, For all of you Van Halen fans out there, they're going to be releasing HD footage of the legendary free 1991 concert in Dallas as part of a new box set. Did you guys hear about this? I think I saw the video floating around the internet once upon a time, but I guess now they probably remastered it and they're releasing it as part of a box set. And what's interesting about that is that that particular concert almost split up Van Halen at that time. It was a free concert, but it ended up costing the band, I think, $200,000 to actually put on this free concert. And apparently there was turmoil that happened, and it wasn't the best organized thing. According to information, it says the Dallas tour hit a bit of a snag. Van Halen's lead singer at the time, Sammy Hagar, was dealing with a litany of injuries. By the time the tour arrived in North Texas for 2 night shows, he was suffering from a broken tailbone, an ear infection, and a sinus infection. The last of which made singing a difficult prospect for the renowned vocalist. Though he soldiered on for much of the tour, Hagar found himself unable to sing up to the standards he'd shown in previous North Texas tour stops. And so in the middle of the band's first song, he outright stopped trying to sing. After letting the crowd sing on his behalf for a few cuts, the band eventually cut that July 3rd, 1988 performance short. So you see, you know, sometimes we always expect a band to put on a show and they're giving 100%. And most of the time they are giving 100%, but you have to stop to think these guys are human. You know, it's easy to have a bad day. It's easy to feel off. You know, maybe one day you wake up and you feel dizzy or something, you know, and you still got to go out in front of whatever, 40,000 people and give it your all. And I could understand how challenging all of that can be. And then people are like, Sammy can't sing anymore. They don't sound as good as they used to. Man, if I had to do that day in and day out, you would have to be almost like an athlete. You have to almost train, But anyways, I digress. I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say, everybody's entitled to a bad day. And unfortunately, when you're a musician, those bad days are recorded forever and ever and put into box sets. Anyways, all right, let's get to the poll question, shall we? Because we've been yapping for a while now. So the poll question today was based on whether or not you've ever felt like you wanted to quit playing guitar. And we may have discussed this in the past a little bit, but basically what I want to know is like how close you came and what made you change your mind. Because I think all of us at some point or another, we feel like, hey, maybe like I'm getting too old for doing this. You're feeling like maybe, I don't know, it requires too much time, too much effort. Who am I to, think that people are going to want to hear me play? Who am I to think that I got time to dedicate to a band and all this kind of stuff? So it's easy to get into the rut and to think like, you know what, maybe I should call it a day, hang up the guitars, maybe take up some other kind of hobby. So if you felt that way before, I want to hear from you guys. I want to see what the poll says. So the question is, have you ever considered quitting playing guitar? We have 156 votes so far. And I want to hear from you. If you ever, like in the chat right now, if you've ever considered quitting, let us know. I mean, I don't think there's a guitar player out there that the thought hasn't crossed their mind at some point or another, I think. So let me know if I'm wrong. Because I think I've had that feeling before, like saying, maybe I'm spending too much time, too much energy, too much money. Maybe I should like slow down, do something else. So let me know. Hey Marcel, nice to see you, buddy. Marcel just got here. Better late than never. We're talking about the poll question, Marcel. So Ian's Guitar Shack says never. That was a pretty quick answer. Never. Never crossed your mind, Ian. Ever. Well, you know, dude, if that's how you feel, I think that's fantastic. If you're certain that you want to keep on playing guitar till your last day, cheers to you, buddy. You know, that's the way to do it. Vinny's World says never wanted to quit, but was forced to for a while. So Ian says, guitar is my life, so no to quitting. Well, fantastic, dude. You have to think about that, because some days you will wake up saying, you know what, I can't do it anymore. My fingers hurt. The arthritis feels too bad. You know, the hand-eye coordination's not what it used to be. My eyesight's failing. I'm having trouble reading the music notes or whatever. You know, but let's hear what the guys say on the poll question. So 64% of you said no way. My guitar and I are in it for the long haul. So that's what I like to hear. I like to hear the positivity first. That's fantastic. And keep that up. If you're in that 64%, fantastic. Great for you. Now, the second most popular question, at only 12%, is yeah, but then I play another riff and fall back in love. That's kind of me sometimes. I kind of fall into that category. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, you know, this is enough. Time to hang it up. And then I make a couple of days go by, I come back here and I pick up a guitar, start playing a riff or two, and then like you say, no, what am I thinking? You know, I can't stop. So I fall into that category. So we have also a tie, a two-way tie. 10% poll question results here say that one is yes, but then I remember that I can afford a midlife crisis. That's a good place to be. And also another 10% of you said no, as long as I don't watch Matteo Mancuso play. So I understand both of those scenarios. So if you have, you know, the itch to buy new guitars, it can get rather expensive. So if you have the ability, if you're in a good place financially and you can afford that midlife crisis, you can keep the guitars coming in, which is great. And also a lot of you out there will also get sort of discouraged if you're seeing guitarists that are way better than you, like, you know, so much so that you could probably never think about attaining that kind of skill level. It's easy to get discouraged. Say like, I can never do that, you know. On the other hand, some of you, the flip side of that, get encouraged by that, right? You see people playing extremely well and they're like, man, if I practice, I can probably be as good as he is in one day. You know, turn it into a positive as well. And then finally, 4% of you said only every time I play a bar chord. And that's sort of a tongue-in-cheek, you know, have you ever considered quitting playing guitar? Only every time I try to play a bar chord. So, you know, if you're a beginner and, you know, it's getting hard just to do this, I understand. But music is a labor of love, really. You have to play music every single day. It's hard to do, it's hard to master. But I think that's part of the beauty of playing an instrument, is that at the end of the day, when you can actually start feeling like you're mastering the guitar, or at least becoming proficient at it, you can actually say, man, I put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and it actually paid off. So you actually said, like, you know, this, you can say to yourself, this is one of my superpowers. I can play an instrument or two or three where other people can't play even one. You know, something to be proud of. I think it's a great thing. Music for me, it's one of the few things in life that, I mean, we can't consider it to be free because we do pay indirectly for a lot of it. But, you know, if you have a guitar and you're sitting there and you're playing, that time that you're playing alone with the guitar is priceless. It's you time, you know, and it's strictly you and the instrument and your creativity. So there's not a lot of things you can get that from. You can't buy that, you know. So Surferby says, I feel the same. I feel that way these days at times, that I've regressed and not getting better. Start playing pickleball or something. I think it's just a question of structure. Is what you need. You know, practice time, structure, stick at it, and you'll get over it. It's temporary. That feeling is temporary. It'll go away. Ian's Guitar Shack says, I'm 58 and still love guitar. Good for you, dude. I don't see it dying out. You know, it'll go up and down, but I don't think it'll die out. For me, at least. Surferby says, Alex Van Halen is auctioning off his gear, supposedly. I think he's saying he's all done. I did see that, yeah. I think he is done. Not that I want him to be done, but don't forget, the guy's pushing, he's in late 60s, maybe 70s soon. You know, I don't see him continuing without his brother. I think his brother and him were a unit. And that's where they got their drive from, their creativity from. And, you know, when you've been playing with one specific guitarist your entire life, who happens to be your brother like that, that bond is hard to replicate with anyone else. And it just wouldn't feel right, I think. So I think he is saying, you know, he's not interested in doing anything anymore at this stage. He's going to enjoy life. You know, he's got his money. It's time for him to relax. Shane says, I get discouraged seeing all these women showing off their assets with mediocre guitar playing, getting millions of followers. Shane, welcome to my world, dude. I 100%, 110% agree with you. It is discouraging. It is really discouraging, especially when there's nothing that they're not offering anything besides eye candy. You know, at least give me a tip. Give me do a review. Talk to me about something. Give me something that I can actually work with. They don't need to do that because showing their assets is enough. It's the bare minimum. You know, and if it's getting them millions of views, well, good for them. But it is frustrating, I gotta say. It is frustrating. What can you do? Eddie says, the thing I love is that you get out of it what you put in. Not just me against myself. The only thing holding me back is myself. Eddie, that's a deep thought, dude. It is. And I think that goes for a lot of things, Eddie, not just music. Like that can be applied to life, you know. At the end of the day, what's happening up here affects you in the real world around you. And oftentimes the real challenges are here. They're not necessarily in the real world. They're what we make up in here in terms of roadblocks. The I can't do it, I'm not good enough, you know, there's always going to be somebody better. Those kinds of thoughts in your brain will block you. So even if you're not a great guitar player now, or if you think you're not a great guitar player, you might even be a great guitar player, but you know, you might have low self-esteem, whatever. It's all up here, guys. So if you could unblock what's going off here in your brain, the world will change for you. Because the world out there is just our perception. That's all it is. Everything can be fine and dandy out there, but if it's not fine and dandy up here, that's what you're going to perceive it to be. So it goes for music. It goes for everything. My knees hurt says, I'm not interested in doing anything too. Only I don't have a lot of money. Dude, it's not about the money, man. You can enjoy music even if you have one guitar. Even if it's a crappy guitar. It doesn't really matter. Danielle says, for a female Canadian guitar player that can really sing and play, check out Jocelyn Gould. All right, I will. Thank you for that. We need more people that can actually play and sing and not just show their assets. My knees hurt says, where do you see these ladies? I only see guys on YouTube. You're not looking hard enough. All right. Marcel's saying he's expecting a Feasley 39-inch today. All right, Marcel, let us know how that. Maybe next week you'll be able to give us some feedback. Shane says there's that Korean chick, I think you meant to say. Nakoko, who plays with under boob, 500,000 followers. Is that the new terminology we're gonna use to label these videos? Under boob videos? I can do an under boob video. Check this out. My boob's too small, man. I'm only an A cup. I have to be at least a C cup, unfortunately, to attract any of you guys before I get 1 million followers. That's funny. Alex2112 says, I love Nita Strauss. She's smoking hot. Yeah, she's a good player too. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have eye candy, but it can't be the only thing. It can't just be an underboob video. You know, an underboob video and you hit that, you bend that string and you do this. Anyways, I think we're digressing here, guys. So I think it's going to be time for us to say goodbye before we get in trouble. Thank you for making this Sunday show a lot of fun. I do appreciate you guys stopping by in your busy day to have some fun here on Addicted to Gear. If you like what we're doing, please support the channel. Come back again next week. We will always have more to talk about. I don't think we'll ever run out of stuff to talk about. But we'll check out some of the suggestions that you made in this week's chat. And I promise there will be a Princeton Reverb video coming this week. All right, so stay tuned for that as well. I'm itching to get that recorded. All right, guys, have a fantastic day. I hope you have nothing but good thoughts today. Keep everything positive in here, and it'll reflect here when you're playing as well. And most of all, have fun, because if you're not having fun, what's the point? Cheers, guys. Have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe, and tune in next Sunday for another edition. All right. Thank you, guys. See you soon.